My name's Evan Oxner, and welcome to the Amherst Wesleyan Church. Here at AWC, we aim to be down-to-earth people following Jesus in down-to-earth ways. We do that by searching boldly, connecting honestly, serving humbly, and worshiping fully. Now, in the middle of this time when we do pretty much everything online, we've committed to 7 key ministries. The first of those ministries is our small groups. And if you are not part of a small group, please email me. I'd be more than happy to get you connected with one of our online small groups. Secondly is our online kids ministry for ages 2 to 12, which happens mainly through their Facebook page, but also through Marco Polo and they have a bunch of interactive activities that happen each week and videos online. It's just incredible content for your kids. Number three is Night on the Edge, which is our youth ministry for teens from grades 7 through 12. Again, most of that happens on their Facebook page or their Facebook group, but they've also got some other apps that they're using, and it's all online content, very interactive, designed to engage teens, get them connected, give them some good advice, help them through this time, and also help them grow in their faith. Number 4 is our prayer time. Our daily prayer time at 11:30 a.m. We do that on Facebook Live. And we also encourage everybody to take Thursdays at lunch to fast and pray. Number 5 is Amherst Live, which happens Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel. There's a live presentation with lots of interactive games and some Q&A and some real fun stuff that's happened, and that is open to everybody. It's designed to really reach out into the community, be open to everybody, and so you want to check that out. Number 6 is our community support, which is both our encouragement ministries, things that we can do for those in nursing homes and those in our community, and also being partnered with Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which is a community-wide, Cumberland-wide initiative. You can find the info online. It's a great initiative to get people who need help and people who want to help, get them connected. Number 7 is actually right now. It is our weekly worship time, which you're already doing great with because you're here and you're going to worship with us by digging into the Word. But we know that worship is more than just digging into the Word and hearing God's Word and hearing Him speak into our lives. Worship is also giving God praise or giving God that direct adoration. And one of the great ways that we can do that is through song, through worship in song. And we've put together some YouTube playlists that you can listen to and you can sing along to if you don't have your own music or your own content that you really like to use to praise God. But we encourage you to either pause the video now or spend some time later today giving God that direct praise. We also believe that we need to be worshiping through giving. And we at AWC have set up some ways that you can do that. You can do that through mailing your offering or your tithe to the church. You can do that through e-transfer, or you can do that through our Tithely app. And we do that because we believe that we need to trust God with absolutely everything in our lives, and that we need to be obedient to Him with absolutely everything that's in our lives. And you may not feel like you should be giving to AWC, or you may be just kind of checking us out and you haven't made that commitment and you don't feel God calling you to give here. Feel absolutely no pressure to give to AWC, but you do need to understand that God is calling you to give somewhere, and that is a part of worship, and so we need to be giving. Now, I've talked enough. We're going to go inside. Michael Gregory is here to share the word with us, so let's get right to it. Well, here we are with Michael Gregory. He is our youth director. I gave him the task of putting this message together, and he's got it all ready for us. And so, without further ado, here's Michael. Let's break into the Word. Let's hear what God has laid on your heart today.
All right. Well, thanks for having me and let me have this opportunity. To start out, I just want to share a little bit about my childhood. Long time ago, many years ago.
1 to 6 months.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So back 6 months ago when I was
12.
probably 5-6 years old.
Yep.
I remember being in my room late at night, whether I was asleep or, I was just going to bed. But I remember there being times when I would just start to feel scared. I would feel scared that there was something in my closet, that there was something under my bed, that there was maybe something in the corner. And I would just be terrified, and I'd be in this situation where I felt like I needed to get out. So I would jump out of bed, and as fast as I could, I would run from my room, and I'd run to my parents' room. And I'd wake them up, and I'd ask them, can I stay with you? Can I be here with you? And they would say yes. Like, they would just let me into bed, and once I crawled into bed with them, I would feel safe. Those things that scared me before, those things that felt like they were just going to overtake me, were suddenly just gone. And now in this situation, like when I look back on it now, I know that there was nothing in my closet. I know there was nothing under my bed. I know the thing that was in my corner was just some weird shadow. There was nothing there that I really needed to be scared of. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things in our lives that we should be scared of. We have these real world situations that just leave us feeling like we're scared, we're alone, we're in need of help, we don't know what to do.
You know that you were actually pretty brave to be able to run to your parents' room, because when I was a kid and I was scared of something, I just closed my eyes and determined that the thing couldn't get me if my eyes were shut. You were brave enough to actually get up and go out of your room, right? So
either that or I just had no imagination to actually think that maybe when I closed my eyes, it just, yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't good imagination. That was just me being
okay.
Ridiculous.
All right.
Right?
Well, I mean, you're still here, so obviously nothing got you, so.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a survivor.
All right, so where we are, we're in this real life situation. And yes, like the monsters in my closet, they weren't real, but we have these real situations around us. And these can leave us worried and scared, knocked over, down and out. And the fact is that these things around us aren't going to just go away by running to our parents. They're not going to go away by just leaving the place that we're at. They're things that will follow us. It's depression. It's anxiety. It's bad relationships, abusive relationships, addictions, financial troubles. And the list, like I can go on and on and on with these different things that are plaguing us, that are making us feel scared, that are making us feel worried. And those things aren't so easy to go away. They're not just figments out of our imagination. And the thing is that, yes, this leaves us feeling alone and vulnerable. But this isn't an isolated issue. This isn't something that's just happening around us. And there are others in this world that are battling this problem in a much different way. See, this morning, we're going to be talking about refugees, those who are in need of a safe place, those who are in need of somewheres to call their safe place. And this might be from things like I've described before, like anxiety, depression, these different things. But there are also issues in this world like war and famine and natural disasters, religious persecution, and a number of other things that just cause them to actually physically flee their home because things aren't safe there. They're not left with this decision of like, maybe my life would be better if I could just go somewhere new, if I could just start over. It's a matter of, I could stay here and my family could be at risk, or I could put everything on the line. I could spend all the money that we've saved up and have a chance to maybe be safe. Around the world, there are 28,000 people that flee every day. Every day.
Wow.
To put that into perspective, that's 3 times the population of Amherst. Can you imagine that? 3 times a day, everybody in Amherst getting up and walking out.
Man.
No home, no place of safety, spending all their money just searching for somewhere to go. With the war in Syria and everything going on, there have been 5 million refugees coming out of there. 5 million searching for somewhere to go. And that to me is heartbreaking, because in research on this, like I was looking for different organizations and different stories on what it was that people were going through. Because me personally, I wanted to understand a little bit of what they were going through. And there's story after story of these people who had to trust smugglers to get themselves out of the situations that they were in, spend all their money, get taken advantage of by multiple people. And when they would get out of the country, they would just run into these obstacles. They would run into people that would deny them access and send them right back.
Kind of like running to your parents' room and them closing the door on you and saying, "No, you can't
come in here.
Go back to the scary room."
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy, 5 million, because the population of Nova Scotia, I think, is less than 1 million.
Yeah.
So you talk about 3 times the size of Amherst, and then you're talking 5 million people. You're talking 5 times the population of Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
That are displaced, looking for that home, and that a lot of them end up going to the refuge, place of refuge, and the door's closed.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right back to where they came from. And even like this trip, they're trying to find safety, but because of the obstacles that are around them, because they need to try to sneak out of where they're from, because they need to trust these smugglers, they're put into these awful situations where their lives are actually at risk trying to get from point A to point B. Like in the Mediterranean Sea alone, there have been 19,000 deaths from these refugees that have been put on overloaded boats and caused to go across at night with little guidance, and they've actually, either the boats have sunk or a number of different things happen, whether it's weather, and they die through this situation. That's in the Mediterranean Sea alone. So like with everything that's going on, with everything they have to go through to actually get out, we should be able to see what the severity of the situation is. And this just baffles me. Because like you said, like trying to leave my parents' room, if the door had suddenly shut, like that would be devastating. Especially if I had gone through so much to get there. So, Evan, I want you to just open up the Bible and turn to Leviticus 19, 33 and 34.
Sure.
And as he's turning there, and I'd like you guys to turn there as well, whether it's a Bible app, whether it's a Bible, whether it's going on the internet and finding these verses. I want you to try to find some way to follow along. If you don't have a way, then don't worry, it's going to be right here beside us.
Leviticus 19, 33 to 34?
33 to 34.
Okay.
So before you get into that, though, what I want to say is a lot of us have heard that there was this spat between Jesus and the religious leaders at Jesus' time, the Pharisees. And the Pharisees came to Jesus and they wanted to trap him. They wanted to say, tell us what the 2 most important laws were from the laws that we got from Moses. This is supposed to be a trap because it's like all the laws should be important, so how on earth are you going to choose 2? And one of these 2 laws was love your neighbor as yourself. And this was big, and with what Evan's going to share here, I think it's really important.
You want it now?
Yeah,
Okay.
If you want to read it now.
Do not take advantage of foreigners who live among you in your land. Treat them like native-born Israelites, and love them as you love yourself. Remember that you were once foreigners living in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God.
Love the foreigner as yourself. So when Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, it's really similar to the wording here of love foreigners as yourself. It's saying, yes, we should love our neighbors as ourselves, but yes, we should love those around us as ourselves. And God's bringing up, you were foreigners in Egypt, to say, like, you've been where these foreigners are at.
You're not so different.
Yeah. You were once in their shoes. So I want you to treat them as you should have been treated. That golden rule that your mom probably told me or told you. But yeah, it's just love the foreigners as yourself. And I think that's important because I'm going to get you to just turn to Luke 10,
Okay.
30 to 37.
All right. You want it now, or do you want to talk some more?
You go for it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged him. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn, where he took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes. Now go and do the same."
Thank you, Evan. The reason why I wanted Evan to share this full story here, this full parable, was because this really gets us to rethink who our neighbor is. At first, we have this thought, like, when I think of a neighbor, you're just down the road from me, right? I think Evan's my neighbor. But Jamin, who lives, a few blocks away, right off the bat, I probably wouldn't consider him to be my neighbor because he's not that close to me. You're just down the road, but he's a little bit further away. Mm-hmm. But yet, Jesus with this story is almost redefining what we think of it as a neighbor. A neighbor seems to be someone who's in need, someone who needs our help, whether that's somebody who lives next door or whether that's somebody who is a completely different nationality. It says in this story, a despised Samaritan. Samaritans were almost like the arch enemy of the Israelites. And yet of the 3, of a priest, a religious leader, and a temple assistant, it was the Samaritan that actually came to his need, actually gave him the help that he needed, who really gave him that place of refuge.
It wasn't the title that mattered. It was their actions, yeah.
And I think Jesus telling this story, he picks it deliberately that yes, it's a Samaritan. It's this foreigner that ends up helping out. Because it's just to show us that we need to rethink who it is that is our neighbor. And with this telling of the story, I want each and every person listening to just think about, who are we in this story? Who are you in this story? With what's going on in this world, who are you in this story? We have this situation, this crisis in our world where we have so many people who are in need, so many people who are in danger each and every day, who have to fight for just the
basic survival.
The basic survival, yeah. And who are we in this story? Who are we in this crisis? Are we going to be somebody who just walks by? Or are we going to be the Good Samaritan? Are we going to find ways to help? And there are so many ways that we can help. We can go on mission trip. Go on mission trips over to these places that are affected and actually put our feet on the ground and put in the action to help. That may be something that would take the time, it would take the effort, and it would take the money, but it's ways that we can help. We can also help by donating. There are a number of different charities that are doing the work on the ground, and they may be limited by resources, and we can help with donating to those resources. It may be keeping it into consideration when we vote. Politicians, like, what they're looking to do to help is important for us to keep in mind, because that's something that we can do to help. In Canada, we have democracy, and we have a vote on what our government does.
Yeah.
So just keeping that into consideration when it is that we're choosing who to vote for. And lastly, when we're talking about the world, we can't underestimate the power of prayer. Prayer is so powerful here. And it's easy for us where we are to say, I can pray, but really, what is prayer going to do? It's such a large issue. It's so big.
But that's exactly the reason why we need it.
Yes.
That's exactly why we need to pray. Right? That's the only way to get to the root cause of it, right? It's not just a money issue. It's not just we need to change how we deal with the borders or something political like that. That doesn't really solve the issue. What solves the issue is when God intervenes in those countries or in those situations, and He intervenes and He changes hearts and He changes people and He changes what's going on there, and they're no longer left in dangerous situations. That's a real solution, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen by throwing money at it. It doesn't even happen by how we vote here in Canada. That happens by prayer and calling on God and God doing something there, right? Yeah.
And the thing too with prayer is, us as Christians, it's something that we can all do. With these different things that I stated before, whether it's going on a mission trip, there might be restrictions that allow you not to be able to do that. Donating, you may have financial troubles that may hinder you from donating.
Especially right now, right?
Right now,
yeah.
like, you got COVID going on, you got all this stuff that may be hindering you. And with voting, like, those who may be younger than the age to vote, prayer is something that we can all do. It's something that we can all come together to do.
Yep.
And it's something that is so, so powerful. And that's part of the reason why each and every day we go on Facebook Live and we come together to pray.
Yep.
As best we can.
Yep.
But you see, we can't just think of who we are in the Good Samaritan story with the world. We can also think of it right here, right now, in our town, in our communities. So here this morning, you may be thinking, who am I in this story? Am I the person who just walked by? Am I the Good Samaritan who's looking to help? But it's possible that you here today, you might be the person who's hurt. You might be the person who's down and out, who needs that little bit of help, that refuge. Whether it's depression, anxiety, addiction, bad relationships, whatever it is that's going on, there are so many resources around town and in this church that are offered. So like in this town, there's Maggie's Place, who look to help in so many different ways, whether it's help with food or with managing financial troubles or helping families. There's just so many things there that can help. Or there's Autumn House, which look to be a place that is designated to helping women in bad relationships, to have that safe place to go, that refuge. Mm-hmm. And also here at Amherst Wesleyan, we have a number of different ministries. We have Cheryl York, who does an amazing job with the care ministries here. And some specifically are Celebrate Recovery, which is starting up in the fall. And it's going to be this group that will come together and just help people along that journey to recovery from addictions that they're going through. And just to be there for each other, to be a support, and to give them that safe place where they can come away from the addictions that they have. Mm. And there's also Stephen Ministry, which is these people in the church who are trained to come along those who are in need of help, who are trained to be there for those who may need somebody to come alongside them. And it's this great opportunity.
Just to walk with them through the journey. Yeah.
And also, we have a pastoral staff, and we have those dedicated to the church who would love to come alongside you if you're in need of any of these resources at the church or in the community. Because going to Maggie's Place or going to Autumn House, they can be scary to go to alone. Even though they're places to help, it can still be scary to go to. And we're here to help. We're here to walk through these situations with you. So yes, you might be the person that's hurting, but you might also be the person who's looking to help. You might be the Good Samaritan, and you might be here this morning, you might be listening, and you know somebody that needs help. They're in your head. Since I've been talking about this, they've been back. Just their name has been resonating in your head over and over and over again. And you might be thinking, I need to go out and help that person. They need my help. They need my help to find that place of safety. Or it might be the fact that maybe there isn't somebody that's resonating in your head like that. But it's just the fact that you need to be open, you need to be aware, and you need to be looking for somebody who needs that help, who needs that person to come alongside them and walk with them to get the help they need, to find that refuge. But I just want to challenge you to not be the two who just walked past. To not be the two that just went over to the other side of the road and walked around.
Say it's somebody else's problem.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. We as a pastoral staff are looking to help. We're looking to be here to walk alongside. But that doesn't mean that you're off the hook. It doesn't mean that you're good to just sit there. These people need help. We're not able to see everything that's going on. We're not able to be there like you may be able to be there for someone. So whether it's relationships that you have, or whether it's just the fact that you see somebody on the street who needs help, I want to challenge you to not walk by and to give the help to those who need it. I want you to really think about who your neighbor is and who you are in this story. But Evan, here in a moment, I'm going to get you to read Psalm 91, sure, verses 1 to 4. But I just want us to listen, but think about it as the Israelites would have read it from the time that it was written. So when this was written, I'm going to be brief with this, but in Israel's history, they were conquered by the Babylonians. and sent into exile. They were driven out of their homeland, and they were basically enslaved throughout the Babylonian Empire. They were just scattered throughout, and they were in this situation where their safety wasn't guaranteed. Each and every day they would wake up and they wouldn't be guaranteed the safety that they once had. And when this was written was soon after they were given the go-ahead, once the Persians overtook the Babylonians and all that. They were finally allowed to go home, but their safety still wasn't guaranteed. They were refugees trying to find that safe place. They were trying to figure out where they could go and what they could do. So if you just want to read that.
Sure. Psalm 91, 1-4. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from from deadly disease. He will cover you with his feathers. He will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection.
Thank you, Evan. So coming out of this, what I want us to understand is through the actions of our ancestors and through the actions of those who came before us, we've been separated from God. We've sinned, we've done things wrong. And that meant that the relationship that we once had with God is broken. And there's this wedge put in there. But God didn't want this to be left the way it was. Because the way that it's left, we're in this unforgiving, brutal world that's temporary. We have death, we have all of these things, we have war, we have famine, we have natural disasters. And it's all just so temporary. And God didn't want to leave us in this state. So what he did is he sent his son, his one and only son, to come down to earth, to be born, to live, to die on a cross for the mistakes that we've had, the mistakes that we've all had, those sins, and be raised 3 days later. He did all of this. He came up with this solution because he didn't want us to be separated. He didn't want us to be lost and scared and alone. He wanted us to be able to come back to him. He wanted to be able to give us this place of refuge, this place of safety that can't be taken away. But this refuge, this is a gift that has to be accepted. It's not something that's just inevitable. We have to take this gift that God gave. Yes, he sent his son to die on a cross for our sins, but we need to accept it. And what that means is that we need to believe that Jesus came, lived on this earth, and died for our sins. We need to really believe that. It can't be just something that we say, but it has to be something that we believe in our hearts. We need to believe that God did this for us so that we didn't have to be separated from him anymore. And we need to just ask God that he forgive us for the sins that we've had, these things that we've done wrong, and that we want to live our life for him. We want to leave changed. We want to be, as we call it, born again. And this is important because this refuge that God gave, it's something that is guaranteed. Like it's written in Psalm 91, every trap, deadly diseases, this place of safety is guaranteed for us. He'll put us under his wing, cover us with his feathers. And it's just this beautiful image that God has us. That yes, this world is scary, it's unforgiving, there's so many things that can go wrong. As we've seen in this time, like our health isn't guaranteed. But yet God's saying through all of this, through all these things that can go wrong, I have something that no one can take away. I have this place of refuge that can't be taken away. And as we start to finish, I just want to let you know that yes, we want to walk through these different situations with you. We want to help you find safety from these situations here on earth. But I also want to tell each and every person here that God has given us this gift. He's given us this refuge that
Don't tell me, tell them.
It can't be taken away. No matter what happens, no one can take this gift away from you. All you have to do is accept it. So if you want help through this process, if you want someone to pray with you, if you want somebody to be with you, to help you get started on this journey, I know I can speak for the rest of the pastoral staff that we would love to have a conversation with you. We would love to hear about this decision that you want to make. But again, if there's other people around you that are Christians that can help you through this, feel free to reach out to them as well, if you're more comfortable. We just want to see you accept this gift. We just want to see you come to Jesus. Because yes, these different resources that we have can help keep you safe in this temporary life, but God can offer you something that can never be taken away. So the takeaway here this morning, the thing that I really want to stick with you guys, is I want you to figure out who you are in this story, and who's your neighbor. So if you're going to write it on a window, if you're going to write it on a mirror, if you're going to write it somewheres, write, who am I and who's my neighbor? Can I pray with you? Dear God, sometimes when I think about this gift that you've given, this place of refuge, I'm left with no words. I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy of it, but yet you give it. You've made a way so that we can be reunited with you. And I just want to thank you for that, dear God. And I want to thank you for the ways that you're working each and every day through the many situations that are going on in our world with this COVID virus, with the isolation, with everything that comes with that. I just want to thank you for the ways that you're working. And I just pray that, dear God, you help us to see those ways. You help us to recognize the different things that you're doing and the ways that you're helping and the ways that you're working. And dear God, I just pray that you be with those who are sick, you be with those who are mourning, you be with those who are just having a hard time with this virus and having a hard time with the isolation. But dear God, if there are those here listening this morning, I just pray that you set this on their hearts. One, to help those who need help and not to walk by. But dear God, also to think about what it is that I've said here this morning and to wrestle with accepting this gift that can't be taken away. And I just want to thank you and I want to love you with everything that I have. I just pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here. All right, folks. I hope you get some time to think about this, and we'll see you hopefully at our prayer time every day at 11:30. We'll hopefully catch you at Amherst Live Wednesday night, and we'll see you back here next week.